I'm gonna touch on this idea of mobile learning in the language classroom. It's a very broad idea, and it's something I've been looking into, presenting and researching over the last year or so. And I've had the opportunity to present in Colombia at the bilingualism conference over there, as they're sort of trying to move to a bilingual education policy, and also in New Zealand as part of the Community Languages and TESOL conference last year, which is good for me and good for my growth. I like to think I'm still young and I've still got more opportunities within myself, but feel free to sort of ask questions and participate. This is going to be more interactive than me just sitting here telling you stuff. I'm going to get you doing things. And with that in mind, if you are connected in some way, and I see lots of tablets and things around the place, phones, whatever you have, that's great. That the more that we're connected, the more activities we can do. And if we have a sort of a big group of people that aren't, I'm going to move you around a little bit later on so you can work together with people who are. So let's make a start. Can you see that reasonably clearly from back there? Yeah, it's all right. I've done my presentation on Prezi, and the link to the Prezi is on the handout that I've just given you, that little sheet of paper. So you're welcome to come and reflect on this and go through it yourself at your own speed later on. Our demographic students generally have a mobile device. In my class, I did a survey actually at ICT when we had about 300 students at the start of last year, and we found that 84% of students had a mobile device they carried to class on a regular basis. I find that in my classes nowadays, there's possibly one, sometimes two students that don't have a smartphone, but everyone has a phone of some sort, or an iPad or a tablet. So there's just I suppose what's the word I'm looking for? An audience, a group of people who have these things. I'll come back to that in a minute. There's a digital gap. What I mean by that is there's sometimes I feel a digital gap between what we teach in the classroom and what happens in the real world. And that's where I said before, there's the textbook world, with John or with Toshi and Yumiko, I don't know who they are, the people in the book. And then there's our real world. There's what happens outside the classroom. What I want you to do is just in groups, maybe 2 or 3 people around you, is find a photo of something or someone that's important to you and discuss. Who are they? Where was this photo taken? Right? Why do you have this photo? Okay, and just get some ideas sharing with each other. Now, if you don't have a phone, if you don't have photos, go and find someone who does and go and sit beside someone who's got their photos out. Right? Or you can take photos of people here. Right? Who can you see? Who have you got?
Oh, sorry, just cut you off.
For my class, it was a great source of sharing photos, sharing information, and sharing whiteboard drawings. You see lots of photos. But it also enabled me to... Where's a good example? It also enabled me just to send them messages. Okay, it's last day tomorrow, so this group's finished now. They're all gone. Relax for your test, go to bed early. I could send them some messages. And also I could post extra activities. Let me go down the bottom. Sometimes there's some useful photos you can find on Facebook that you can share with students. Tests and homework. Oh, there's me in the kitchen. You don't need to see that. That's terrible. All right, so for us, this was a real class bonding thing outside the classroom. What I found is, if I sent my students email, they didn't get it. But if I send them a message on Facebook, they got it even before they left the classroom. So there was actually one stage where one of the students was just fiddling on their phone, all right, as they tend to do sometimes. Send them a Facebook message saying, "Are you actually studying?" Popped up on their phone. Oh, you know. So for me, social media works. I set homework through here. I send useful information and links, and we share photos and ideas like that. My Facebook account here is purely work, professional. There is no personal content on there. No, yes, to okay, let's do it, but do it in a positive way, not in a negative way. Because my feeling, and I think a lot of people's feeling, was you're sort of pushing, you're fighting against a battle you're never going to win if you're constantly having to tell people off. And then you just feel like the bad guy. If I'm constantly saying, don't do that, I feel like the bad guy. So that's sort of a change. Shift from that to that for us. Now, again, that's a broader issue than just the classroom. But for me, it works well. Now, you'll notice on that piece of paper that I just gave you, there are lots of little squiggly, dotty boxes. All right? And those are QR codes. How many people have used QR codes before? Fantastic. It's good to see. Who has never ever heard of a QR code? Right. Who's seen them but wondered what they were? Right. Exactly. All right. QR code stands for Quick Response Code. Okay. It's a way of quickly accessing something. Now, in order to read a QR code, you need a QR scanner. Okay, and they're all freely available, and if you don't have one, I recommend you can download one from the App Store. It's just called QR Scanner, QR Reader, anything like that will work. What you do is you then put your device over on like a camera, and it just looks at that code there, and then it will go straight to that website. You can think of the benefit here in the sense of, if I have a really long website, it's very hard to type into my phone. Whereas if I scan this, it will take me directly there. So it's an embedded scannable barcode. Within that code is text or a hyperlink or something. All right? How many people have a QR reader or QR scanner on their phones? Perfect. All right. Now you people are going to need to help me and to pair up with the people who don't. Because I'm going to give you an activity in a minute. I'm going to put these up around the room. And in a minute, we're going to do a little activity. Because what you can do with a QR code is you can embed information in it. And you can embed text as well as a website. And so for activities, it can be very useful. There's an element of mystery, which I like. And I'm going to put these up around the room, and you'll see them as I come around. Hey?
I'm already excited about it.
You're already excited. I like it. Around the room, I've placed a whole lot of QR codes. All right. Now, this is for an activity I'm going to set up and get you to do in just a minute. And these can be really useful for treasure hunts. Treasure hunt type activity. It's a kinesthetic activity where you have to get out of your seat. Right? You have to walk around the class to find information. I've got several of these. The one I've set up is a very simple one. And this is actually from an English biology lesson. All right? And I'm going to give you the lesson here on this piece of paper. Again, I might just try and do this faster and pass some that way, and see how that works. And this is the one on this side. So when you get it, you'll see it's on the page that's numbered 11. Okay, now this is a CLIL lesson. Does anyone do CLIL? Probably, right. So Content and Language Integrator Learning. So this is a lesson I developed for Indonesian biology teachers. Their government requires them to teach in English. Problem is they don't have any English to teach in English, which is very hard. But they have to teach biology. So this is a very basic lesson. There are 7 questions at the top. The answer to each of those 7 questions is on one of those cards. So stand up, walk around and scan one of those codes and see what happens. You don't need to be connected to the internet because every code only has text on it. Okay? So if you, yeah, great, stand up, walk around. If you don't, go and stand behind someone and see what they're doing so you get an idea of how it works. Again, just while you're sitting down. So Twitter, Scoop It, Pinterest, different ways of sharing and collaborating. Learn, share, collaborate. The end.